Good morning, class. Okay. I am Teacher Joyce, and I am going to your English teacher, technology teacher. Okay. So for today's lesson, we have traditional and constructivism. So I'll explain what is that. Okay. So class, the traditional classroom involves a standard curriculum delivered by a teacher in person, and standardized tests are administered at regular intervals to test students. Yes, and this model is where students' time, place, and pace of learning remain constant. And class, for the constructivism classroom is learner-centered students. When you say students, so it is focused in the students based on their experience or ideas of the students. Yes, are active learner and not just recipient of information. The teacher facilitates and guides students through learning. On the other hand, a traditional classroom is more on direct instruction and teacher-centered. So it means the traditional learning is where we are in 2000 like that, because teachers are always guide and facilitate us. But today we are in new generation. That's why the constructivism will insert. That's why they call a student-centered learning. Okay. So class, I hope you know what is the differences about the traditional classroom and the constructivism. Okay. So for today's activity, we will going to have a debate. So I will group you into two. So in the traditional there is 5 groups, and the constructivism there is 5. So I will going to group you. Okay. So for the belong of the traditional group is Suson, Villacorta, Talisik, and Racoma. And for the constructivism will be the member of Santiago, Aguirre, and Sevillano. Okay. Okay, let's start, class. Let's start. Okay. So before we having a debate, I have something picture that I am going to show you that you will going to base on your debate. So okay, we will only having a debate based on the picture that you have shown. Okay. Okay, class, we're going to start our debate. Are you excited? Okay, you're going to be excited. So first column is about the curriculum. What is the best for you about the curriculum? So the first column will be having debate is Suson and Santiago. So let's start.
Traditional classroom curriculum begins with the parts of whole, emphasizes basic skills. So before I start, what is traditional classrooms, by the way? So a traditional classroom involves a standard curriculum delivered by a teacher in person. So for me, I think traditional classroom is more functional, effective, and meaningful, wherein the teaching environment increases interactions among students, and it also encourages higher level of competitiveness among students. So in traditional classroom, it is where the teacher do the talking and the learners or the students do the listening. So it is what the school should be, wherein the students gain knowledge from the teachers, not the students gain knowledge from themselves. A school should teach students, not as students teach her or themselves.
As I will many of the methods addressed in this series of workshops, in the constructivist classroom, the focus tends to shift from the teacher to the student. The classroom is no longer a place where the teacher experts knowledge into passive students who wait like empty vessels to be filled. In the constructivist model, the students are urged to be actively involved in their own process of learning.
Very good, Susan and Santiago. The next column will be Villacorta and Aguirre. So let's start.
Strict adherence to fixed curriculum is highly valued. The highly valued sequence of planned experience where students practice and achieve proficiency in content and applied learning skills. The central guide for all educators as to what is essential for teaching and learning, so that every student has access to rigorous academic experience.
Yes, I get your point. But the thing is your student agreed with your learning style that you trying to adapt with them? The curriculum of the school will be more trusted. If the student know how to interact with the teacher, we should let our student express their thoughts so that we know what will be the other way that we need to do. For the sake of the learner's knowledge, being strict can affect the student idea that has possibilities to improve more. So I will still stand with the constructivism classroom idea.
Very good, Villacorta and Aguirre is so intense debater. Now, for our next debaters will be Talisic and Civiliano. So, let's start.
Assessment aims at measuring if and how students learn the effectiveness of teaching methods and structures implements. Learning outcomes determine the selection of which type of assessment is most beneficial, either formative or summative. Formative assessment focuses on the process towards the completing a product or lesson, while summative is evaluate the final product and take place at the end of the learning process. Tests are traditional way to access these goals. Exams plays an important role in faculty assessment practices. A primary reason for examination is to assess students' progress. Note that this reason is different from the need to assign a grade at the end of the term. Quizzing and testing also encourage progress. Students who know that the final grade will depend in part on the quiz may become motivated to learn. And the result of quizzing and testing provide feedback to the instructor about his or her success in helping students to identify the key issues.
Yes, I get your point, Alisic, but in the constructivism classroom, it's more idea and it's more good to know that the assessment includes the students' works, their observations and points of view actually, and as well as tests, because not only through testing correct answer, it can also be more explored to the students, and also process is the important as a product. That's very good, Talisic and Civiliano. And now the last debater will be Aguirre and Racon. Let's go.
As a teacher, it is important that the student work primarily alone, which the learning is achieved through repetition and the subjects are strictly adhered to are guided by a textbook. I object to that opinion because when the learner studies alone, he or she will not know what is wrong or right because the learner will stand her own understanding. But if the learner learns to study with others and with the assistance of the teacher, the student will gain knowledge based on every insight that they comply with their environment.
Very good, students. Very good. All of you are very, very good debaters. So now, I hope you understand what is the differences about the traditional and the constructivism classroom. So we all know that traditional is our early years, yung atong giandan ba, ano siya, then ang constructivism, because we are in new generation, so that there are changes in our traditional classroom. Okay, I hope you understand, and that's it for today. Goodbye, class.